Welcome back to The Advisor, everyone. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. I am welcoming a man who spends his life at the crossroads of faith, ethics, and real world leadership. Joining me today is Pastor Owen Williams. He is the shepherd of St. Mark Missionary Baptist Church, the former director of pastoral care services at Kings County Medical Center, and the author of a powerhouse book series, The Corporate Christian, volumes 1 and 3, plus American Christianity, Black Liberation, and White Legalism. Today, he's giving us a sneak peek into his newest book that is coming out October 7th of 2025, Christianity, the Other Political Party, the Hijacking of the Faith. So for more than 3 decades, he has challenged boardrooms. And congregations alike to bring their Sunday beliefs into their Monday meetings, exposing the hidden wars between spiritual conviction and the corporate culture. So his message is equal parts prophetic and practical. Live your values, fight for justice, and never lose sight of the gospel's call to radical love. So he has spent 35 years in partnership with Elder Deborah Williams, and together they've raised one daughter, Desiree Rose. It's proof that his ministry begins at home. I'm so excited to welcome him. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you. That was great. Wow.
That's you. That's your essence. That's exactly who you are.
You never really see yourself like that. Um, but thank you. That was truly humbling. Thank you so much for that.
Beautiful. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you. Fine, thank you. As previously discussed, I do a lot of exercising and I feel really, really good in my retirement days. So retirement's the best decision anyone can make.
I'm not telling anyone your age because they wouldn't believe me, so we'll keep that a secret.
Amen.
Why don't you tell us a little bit more of who you are in your own words?
Well, as you said, I got into the ministry about 30 years ago, and I was raised in the church and became official as far as feeling the call on my heart. And most times for most people, you get this call in your heart. It comes out of pain, and
Mm,
when I say pain, I don't want to make it anything devastating, just disappointments. Basically, conflict is because you desire something and it doesn't happen, and then you have to process and deal with that and refocus and reshift. So these kinds of things bring about mild traumas, and these traumas build up, and then you have, a block of trauma in your life. So, that kind of got me into the ministry, and it wasn't a medical call. It was just exercising my right to understand, am I always focusing on the wrong things? You know, is there something else I should be focusing on other than me and these kinds of stuff? And the Gospels of Christ opened that up for me to realize that, I am more than me. I mean, there are many people around me, and you now get involved and helps. And the best way to deal with your life is through helping someone else. And the best way
I
to counsel yourself.
wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, and the best way to counsel yourself is to counsel somebody else. You'll listen to, practice what you preach in a sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love this, like your essence. As I said before we hit record, your essence is like the quiet leadership, and I feel that's the most powerful kind. It's the ones that like stand there in humility and are humble and truly have that fire to want to help people.
And how should I say this? Not focusing on me, but most people who live the way you just described, they never forget where they came from. They never forget that, the pain you carry out with you because that shapes you, and you don't live in pain, but it's right there with you because it's, the transformation is your pain becomes your power
Yeah.
in essence. So from that process, so that continued on, and I grew in ministry when I got married, 35 years into my marriage, my wife, and we got into ministry together and officially and elevated in the Christian faith, in entry level offices, teachers, and then got ordained and called, and trying to fast forward it to you. To got a spiritual father was over me, and he guided me, through all of my missteps and mistakes. So, because as you grow, you make missteps, and you accumulate more pain through, you know, selfishness and bad desires that have no discipline to them yet. And then you grow and you grow. And then I added some education to that, and up to, a master's degree in pastoral counseling and Christian ministry and theologies from Liberty Baptist Theological Seminary I went to, and and through the process was able to write a couple books and process some of the things that I went through, and learn from them and put them out there.
I
Um,
have to ask, how did you and your wife meet?
we met on a in Orchard Beach in the Bronx. It kind of was a blind date, uh, and I don't think she liked me from the from the beginning. But a couple weeks later, my friend gave me her work number, and it was pouring rain, and I called her, and she answered, "How'd you get this number?" And I said to her, "It's raining outside. I was just wondering if you would like a ride home." You know,
Mm,
Changed the dynamic, and we went, picked her up, and we went to her cousin's house, and, you know, had a little celebration of hanging out and having some drinks and stuff, and then took her home, and then we started, building a relationship that ultimately led to a marriage process.
mm.
Like
I
with
love
everything
that.
else,
How did
you
you get
don't,
this number?
right? You don't get to anything without challenges, right? So, pain and disappointment is a big part of life. And, one of the things that we try to bring about in most of these books I've written, including this latest one coming out, is that this generation feels that disappointment and pain is an abstract thing, but it's a primary thing to life. You know?
Yeah, the fairy tale, the illusion of the fairy tale, has to be dissolved.
Yeah. I want it, I can have it all, and I can have it all right now, in a sense.
Yeah,
And if I don't get it, something's wrong with the world, something's wrong with you, something's wrong with everything else but me.
yeah. Oh my God. Yes, 100%. We have to change that. Our poor millennials.
But the sad thing about that is that it starts there, but it has spread into all of even up to my generation of the baby boomers and stuff, it spread into that as well. Not as bad, but it's that kind of mindset. Because the flip side to that is now the pointing the finger and the judging of people
Mm,
when you don't get what you want.
yes, 100%. 100%. It's hard for people to take responsibility and not project and not want instant gratification. And
We see it in
yeah,
our current,
our world's tough.
we see it in our leadership, we see it in our political, leaders today on both sides of the aisles. As I said to you earlier, I think we have to remind them that they are civil servants to serve, and they should serve with honor and distinction, and not celebrities to behave uncouthly and disrespectfully and violently. Um, that's not, you're supposed to be the best of us. That's why you got elected. And you should represent us, not in the lowest form, but in the highest form. So
Yeah, there is a confusing message coming out right now in that regard from all aspects of politics and all aspect of leadership with the amount that we're seeing them splashed all over the internet. And and I mean a lot of it is like people following them and taking photographs, but you're right, they've got these social media profiles that share a lot of who they are and yeah, they're blurring the lines between that leadership role.
the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the most powerful drug is the TV camera.
Wow.
And a lot of our politicians today, they are spending more time on social media and to record and post everything they've done because it seems to me this mindset is popularity is the prize and not good governance. Um, and it's an all or nothing, all sums game. I need to have more of this and more of that and more of that. And you can be greedy absent or devoid of money. You could be greedy for food, greedy for fame, greedy for status, in social media, greedy for likes and followers and all that stuff. So this is what we see from intellectually sound people that they've now gone into this. So and they'll try to tell you, well, the dynamics of it is because this is how we raise money, blah 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 blah. I'm not so sure about that. This is a new phenomenon that came in. We don't have to do it like that. So, but what it is, in this, fame is a currency, which equals power, social power, notoriety. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you are good at what you do.
Hmm. Yeah, they
Really,
can definitely harness a crowd.
it kind of, if you want to go someplace, Adolf Hitler could harness a crowd too. So,
Yeah.
so you're a master manipulator in a sense. You're good at manipulating and all that stuff, and performance politics and performance pastoring and stuff like that, which is not
Mm.
good at all. Anyway, I
So
so
sorry, what?
I digress. Sorry about that.
No, I just feel like this is the perfect time to talk about your book. I know you're giving us a sneak peek into this beautiful piece that's coming out in October. Can you tell us about where it came from? What what was the driving factor, and what is it about?
Well, Christianity, the other political party, the hijacking of faith is a very personal book. Most of my books are very personal. The Christian faith has been a lifesaver to me. It has helped me find myself. It has helped me to be a better employee, a better father, a better husband, a better citizen. It has helped me completely through my life. And to watch how it has now been degraded, over the last 10, 15 years, and even more so, you know, kind of really bothered me. And it has just gotten worse and worse and worse. And what signified it for me is how many people are running away from it. So because of how it's being represented. Now, people run away from stuff without even knowing what it is, doesn't show a lot of intelligence on their parts either. But the fact that, people within the faith, at the highest levels have no problem bridging Christian theology and Christian faith, biblical, systematic, theologies to patriotism and politics, and on conservative or liberal sides is not what it's about. It's not the tenets of the Gospels. So this book, Christianity, the other political party, the hijacking of faith, examines all these things and not just examines them, but also breaks it down where it comes from. So we drill down into the hearts of man, the human heart of man. And we have a lot of things we talk about. We talk about the old doctrines that we lived under 100, 150 years ago becoming new realities. We talk about dominion theology, which is a Christian theology that we should have dominion over every aspect of life, or we should reconstruction theology, that we should reconstruct culture, medicine, law, marriage, these kinds of things, and how they drive people away from the faith. We talk about Western Hemisphere Christianity, God and the gun. Why is, you know, um, America may have been explored by England, France, and Spain, but it was conquered and built by, Colt, Smith and Wesson, and Remington, who built the country. We talk about the theology of identity, identity politics, identity theology. Where does the LGBTQ community fit in there, and where do women fit in and stuff like that? Talk about abortion and abortion rights and how does that play? We talk about religion or religious or imperialistic conflicts, what's going on in Gaza and the Middle East, and for many, many, many generations in reference to these religious wars or these imperialistic acts, from that aspect and looking at them, you know, from the Crusades to the Ottoman Empire and so on. We talk about the thoughts of man, we talk about the desires of man and the rules of man and bring them all together. Desire without discipline, sexual lust, love of money, love of power, love of status and pride. Is there a coexistence between affluence and influence? These kinds of things. So yeah, there's a lot in there. We put a lot in there because we want to break it down and bring it all together because what we see happening is this oppressive thing about patriotism, you know, corporate barons, um, politics wrapped up in a blanket of Christendom, basically telling us that, you will be much better off if you allow me to dictate to you how you live your life. And C.S. Lewis, he wrote the Chronicles of Narnia. He was
Mm,
an Anglican theologian, and he quoted something. He said, of all the tyrannies in the world, the worst kind of tyranny is the tyranny of the moral busybody, do-gooder, because he torments you with the approval of his own conscience,
mm.
meaning that he believes he is right in telling you that this is where you belong. This is your lot in life. And this is what we
Yeah, the
kind of,
busyness of running around has become the norm. People are not sitting in stillness and listening anymore. It's become cool to stay up all night because you're building your business. That's not normal. That's not why we were brought to earth, is to be running around and running away from ourselves.
and staying in constant battle mode.
Yes, the
Health.
walls. There's
Yeah.
walls everywhere. Everyone's got their
Yeah.
wall up.
And there is no shame to lie. There's no shame to be profane. There's no shame publicly, you know, to be disrespectful to men and to women in front of children. And now, I may be showing my age, but there's no shame in that. People just do it plain and simple. And we need to kind of be mindful of that stuff that other people are watching and listening. And in some cases, we just don't care. And I have to believe that how I feel is the majority of how the country feels.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, they just follow status quo, but leaders with heart who show up with love and gratitude and want to shine light on the world, they want to somehow impact by change. And I feel like that's what your book is getting at, is how can we flip the script?
Mhm. And yeah, what I'm trying to do, you know, that part you mentioned would be up for the reader. I'm just trying to show them, to the best of my ability, this ain't normal, and
Yes,
this is
you're
what the
giving a
faith is
new
all about.
path.
Right. And if you receive what I'm putting down on pen and paper or in the audiobook that comes out with it, you know, you will realize that this is not what I'm looking for. So on Sunday morning, when your pastor is up there talking, I didn't come here for this. You know, I want you to tell me through the Gospels what I'm doing wrong in my life. In my pathology of thinking. You know, change me. You know, uh, I heard someone say to me the other day, which is so true, because I want to brag a little bit. I've recently lost 53 pounds through exercise and everything like that. And he was talking about he started taking the shot, the Wegovy shot. And he
What
said
is
to me,
that?
this is a shot that they give you for your A1C, but it also has great effects on your blood, on your weight loss. So the shots that you get, you can, through your doctor, you can buy it over the counter. Then you take one a week for a month. People are getting dramatic weight loss. But what he did say was the shot helps you with your weight, but it doesn't fix your mind and your relationship to
Mm.
food. And nothing changes if your mind doesn't change. And the book here is trying to help people to give them sound information to make a decision on what they want, what they're looking at.
You hit the nail on the head. The root of the problem is the foundation. So many people are after this quick fix. I'm going to take this pill, it's going to fix me.
Yeah,
But I feel like people need to reassess that whole paradigm, strip everything away, and simplify it. Because the answer is within us. It's in simplifying the things we're doing. It's like you said, changing our relationship with these different things in the world. And once that happens, then things start to change.
right. In here first, and here, and which is what all you really care about, because I can't control the food around me. I can control me, right? And and there's a price to pay. I let myself go, and I have the price is, I have to now work hard consistently to change how I live my life, and I walk 15 miles a week. I got runner's feet, so to constantly buy new shoes and the blisters and stuff like that. And I ride 30 miles a week, 3 10-mile rides and stuff like that. So you don't feel like doing it sometimes. I live in Texas. It's very hot down here, but you do it, so you do because something has changed in me on the inside. And I'm talking right now about taking control of my health and my eating. But I can also take control of my thoughts. I can take control of my beliefs, you know, and I can make sure that people don't guilt me, they don't manipulate me, they don't lead me astray, because I know what you're selling me. I know what it is. So and what you're selling ain't it. You know?
Yeah. So what are the common issues that you're seeing out in society that your book is I guess putting on stage so people can look at them?
Well, like in chapter 7, it's called the allure of attention, right? Attention seekers at pandemic levels. We just came out of the COVID pandemic, but we have an attention seeking pandemic right now. People are starving for attention, dying for attention. Um, and in doing that, they spread evil like a virus, biological viruses, COVID-19, and they are spread through waterborne or airborne diseases.
Mm,
Evil is spread through audio waves, transmittance,
mm.
you know, uh, what you hear constantly takes you into that place, it changes your speech and your language. And, you from the TikTok, everybody who has a voice doesn't need to be heard.
Right. Yeah.
And especially if all you're trying to do is divide people, I'm born and raised in the South. My age, I've experienced Jim Crow. Well, I have to be liberated through liberation theology from that trauma, you know, because I can't keep living. I'm out of Jim Crow, but I can't keep bringing Jim Crow with me. You know, it happened. It's there, and one has to deal with that. But at the same time, I cannot deny the fact that God has been good to me. That I've been able to have a family, purchase 2 homes, work a job, retired after 41 years, you know, still in ministry. So I can't look at my life and then complain about Jim Crow because at the end of the day, I won that battle, right?
Mm.
I won that battle. I overcame. As the word says, I've become an overcomer, no matter where I started. And today, people like to bring things that they have or have not experienced for one goal, to get attention.
And
Nothing.
money. I'll add, in my opinion, money, because we have these influencers who are out there representing products that aren't what they say they are. They're misrepresenting things with this illusion of this is going to fix your life because I look like this. So you should buy this. And these people are getting so rich
Oh,
from
wow, wow, Lisa,
the illusion.
you must have read my book because that's the next thing we attack. We attack the new industry of influencers, and
Yes,
they're duplicitous in their nature. They're not who they present. They don't mean what they say. And the thing is, the method to gain followers is, the fame. It's lascivious. It's profane. It's, sexual. This kinds of thing.
sexual. Yes, that's all there is out there now is like these sexual images to sell blue jeans.
Right. And to sell you products, like you said about weight loss, and they don't know. They're not, chemists. They don't know what's in those products and stuff like that, and they probably never took it themselves. But uh, you know, once again, but it all starts with attention seeking. To corral and enslave as many people as you can to follow you. And the problem with that is that has its own dynamic because the more you get addicted to it, the more you crave it,
Mm.
and the deeper you go into this abyss of behavior. So it has a bad effect on you as an individual as well.
I remember when social medias first came out, or when I first made a profile. I don't know, I'm 40, so maybe I was in my 20s. I don't remember. But I remember posting my first photo and somebody liked it and it was like a drug. It was like I was like, "Oh my God." Like this, so I was checking it all day long to see if anybody else was liking it. Um that is an instant dopamine hit. But it's an illusion of being seen because people are seeing what they translate your photo to be, and it's not authentic and real. It's not real connection. And I fear for our young generation that they're not actually connecting on a human to human level, which is so important for community, for growth, for the collective to grow and heal.
Amen to that. Yeah, and the Bible will support you because God tells us in His Word that we need to get validation from Him and not from
Mhm.
the sin of self-worship. And validation, if you want attention, get attention through your character, through your charity, through your decency, through these things are not promoted. Um, but the sin of self-worship, you know, is where we're at today. And people are feeling the burden of that because it puts a lot of pressure. Young people feel the need to compete. People, you know, some people send me things and I see it on LinkedIn now, and I asked my spiritual son, he said, "Oh, that's an AI image of them." That's just so now they're not even they're living in an alternate reality now, because it's better
Yeah,
than
we
their
don't know
reality,
what's real anymore.
right?
It's scary.
Or the real is not pleasing enough, so let me create another reality. Same thing with the people who have substance abuse issues. It creates an alternate reality for them, not to deal with the current one that they're in.
Yeah. So
That's escapism in a
how do we
sense.
start changing this?
Well, you can change what you can control. So you change you. I'm not a big proselytizer going to tell people what they're doing wrong. You change you. And the beauty of the gospel is it slows it down, and you change you. You try to influence the people around you quietly, through your behavior, through your ministry of helps. That means you always got to be there for people. It's a sacrifice when you live in your life from that process, and you ask them, well, do the same. If someone did something for you, make sure you do something for somebody when they ask you, because kindness begets kindness. Charity begets charity, you know, especially one to one personally. And that's how you start. You start person to person to person to person there. And and
Yeah, the
and uh,
ripple effect.
that's all you can ask for. You don't and you try to, because once you start going on these big platforms to promote, you're going into a field that is not conducive to what you're trying to do.
Mm.
So it's like falling in love. You have many suitors, but when the real love comes, this is the one for me from that process. So, I mean, you have to find the best place where you are the strongest. And that is within yourself in your heart and honestly, truthfully to yourself. And that behavior is demonstrated wherever you go, on your job, in the grocery store, at your family reunions, when you're angry, when you're enraged, when you're happy, on vacation, because it becomes part of who you are. So you've changed you. That means you'll change wherever you go. You'll behave that way.
Yeah, there's also the illusion. People think that if they leave their home to go on a vacation, that they're going to feel better, that they're going to be saved. If they purchase a brand new home, their life's going to change. When they find their partner, that's going to fix them. I want people to hear you in that it's already in us.
Yeah,
It's already here. We're already home. We just got to find our way back there.
right. Validation is from the core of who we are. And the faith I believe in, and most of the faiths around the world, is that we submit to the divine, because we believe the divine knows best for us. We don't see the divine. We feel the divine inclinations upon us. And that comes from within, and we have to trust that. And if you find someone who helps you understand Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, and it's leading you in this personal growth of growing towards, we always talk about personal growth. Yeah, the reality is we're growing towards maturity. We're becoming more mature as people. And the more mature you get, the easier it is to let go childish things.
You think those people are brought into our life at a specific time when we're ready?
I think I'll flip that around and say that, we see them when we're ready.
Ah,
They may always be there, but we see them when we're ready.
ooh, I like that. I just got chills.
I'm sorry.
No, that's a good thing. I love that. That it's true. We see it when we're ready versus they come into our world. They've always been there, but until we're open, we can feel it and then we become open to it and we surrender, as you say.
Because
Surrendering is the first step.
the other way around, what you've said first, still puts the onus around, centers around us. And we want to get away from that. The onus is
Okay.
not around us. We're not the center of attention. You know, the center of attention is outside of us, and we have to recognize it
Mm,
and then bring it into us. Because so no one is coming to help us. Help is already there. We have to go and ask for the help because it's there
mm,
already, and that changes us from the proud now to the humble.
mm.
I don't want to get too preachy, but there's a wonderful the, the Jewish prophet Micah, in the sixth chapter, God said, I've shown you, O mortal, what is required. I require you to love mercy, to love justice, and to walk humbly with your God. Meaning, I require you to be merciful during your life, to live and act justly throughout your life, and to walk humbly all the days of your life. If we could incorporate that, what a beautiful place this would be, right?
Oh my God, take me there now. It's hard up there. What advice would you give to the listeners in how to even begin looking at themselves?
Well, I mean, the only thing you can tell people is first try to recognize, um, Are you sick and tired? Are you constantly disappointed? Is happiness seem to be elusive from you? And the reality is that to truly be happy, you really need to be content. And if you're not contented, that's because you're always trying to pursue something. You're always on the hunt and the chase. And if you're on the hunt and the chase, that means you've tapped into the theology of this world. Like you said earlier, you always need something to make you happy on. And that's wrong. That's going to keep you, constantly on the move, which spells one thing, you have no peace.
Yes, exactly. I remember a time in my life where I was working so many hours a day, and whenever I sat still, I was uncomfortable and always feeling like it was never enough. Nothing was ever enough. Um, and then when I sat still and learned how to, face my emotions, that's when things started changing for me. I'm interested to hear about your experience.
Yeah, I mean, when I was on the job coming up, I used to sing for my lunch all the time. That means that the corporate world has a way of keeping you singing for your lunch, that, you're only as good as your last performance. So now it creates a very subtly a competitive mindset in there. And the sad thing about that is you're creating competition among fallen people that you can't control. So when you end up having, you know, these isms on these jobs, and the company's no longer unified, and your productivity is going by the wayside, you wonder why. But you've created this, you've built this into your system. And then you come up with, minor fixes that really don't deal with it, because you can't capture the core and the heart of people. People want money. They want to live a certain lifestyle. Now, if you put them in a room where you have to compete for that, and you take away their peace and their joy of earning it, you're creating these environments, where competition basically is warfare. And warfare now gives you something, what I call in this book, the appetite of hate, you know, and the stages of hate, which ultimately is a demonic design in a sense. And many people don't realize that. They think it's good, sound leadership. They think this is how we inspire people. And I've always asked myself a question, and that's why I try to be very careful about that. How can a sinful person like me inspire another sinful person? It doesn't make sense, all right? What I can do is point you to who inspired me, you know, and go there. But I can't inspire you. I can't save you. And anybody trying to do that is now once again living in this egotistical, narcissistic mindset.
Yeah.
I told you we get a little deep on this book. So
Yeah, this book sounds absolutely amazing.
yeah. Well, it took a minute to write, and I had to do
Just a
some,
minute? I'm just
yeah,
being funny.
oh, just and a lot of research, and to delve into some things, and a lot of thinking processes, and then I was able to hook up with a very nice, you know I self-published all my books. The person who did the editing for me, they took it and they organized it in a nice sequence. This chapter belongs here and belongs there, so you get a better flow from the book there. But I got great compliments even from the people who edited, and they were really blown away, and they liked the topics and things that came about. What we deal with it in society today.
Yeah, the society should get ready because it's coming out October 7th. So where are people going to be able to find it?
Well, all my books go on Amazon, and Barnes and Noble, all online book retailers. You'll be able to Google, type it in, you'll find it all there. This is my first book that is coming out simultaneously in the audio version as well. So for those who don't like to read, they can just download the audio and they can listen to it as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Pastor Owen, do you have any other last minute things to say before we say goodbye today?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure seeing you and meeting you again to come on this wonderful broadcast. And yeah, thank you for your readers who and your listeners who potentially will buy the book and support me on this journey, into authorship. I thank you for that. I thank you, all of you, for any support you give, whether you're buying the paperback, the Kindle, or the audiobook. Thank you so much for that.
It was an honor getting to speak with you today. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and for, showing up in your highest leadership and for, just being you. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Yes, I hope you come back.
I definitely will. If I get the invitation, I will definitely be back for sure. How about a
Beautiful.
month, 6 months after it's out? Let's set that date.
Beautiful, beautiful. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Take a second, sit in stillness, look around. What's important? Pastor Owen Williams' book will give you some insight into the world. Christianity, the other political party, the hijacking of a faith. Remember, it's coming out October 7th. For now, be well, everyone. Take care.